Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to part number 2 of reacting to the Texas Rangers opening day roster. If you missed it, the last video on this channel was us reacting to the hitters. So, if you're more of a hitter guy, go watch that video, but then come back and watch the pitcher video. Today, we're going over all the pitchers. We're going to do starters first, then relievers. Same kind of layout. We're going to talk about what I think of each guy a little bit, what I think is going to happen over the season, their role that I expect them to have, question marks, players I'm excited for, players I'm interested in, all the good stuff. So, like and subscribe if you guys are new, and you probably are new because this is just starting up. So, I would appreciate the support. Let's get into it. And we're going to start with the starting rotation. And the rotation is good, I think. The rotation last year was one of the best, if not the best, in baseball, depending on which stat you're looking at. There was some injuries that popped up, obviously, between, I guess, with Eovaldi would be the big one. Um, Incredible year last year, was not healthy for some of that, so he threw less innings than he otherwise would have. I don't know that more Eovaldi innings would have helped because the offense was so bad, but it's worth noting. So, our rotation is Eovaldi, DeGrom, Mackenzie Gore, Jack Leiter, and Kumar Rocker is listed as the fifth starter. We're going to go one by one. Jacob DeGrom is Jacob DeGrom. He's going to be good. The question with him always, every year from now until he retires, probably is going to be, can he be healthy through the whole year? Last year, he actually was. I liked the way that we kind of paced him early in the year to make sure that we still had him in August and September down the stretch. Even if he has to skip a start or two or use an extra day rest or whatever, I liked the way they handled that last year. I am hoping that they handle it in a very similar way this year. I am not sure that at this point in his career, right, DeGrom is ever going to be like a 200 inning guy again, right? Um, Last year he threw 172 innings to a 2.97 ERA. He started 30 games. Again, I believe that if you can get 30 starts out of Jacob DeGrom, that's a good year, I think. Even upper 20s, you're kind of living with. It's when you start getting into like the 22 to 25 start range, it starts to get, it's like a little bit tough in my opinion, but if we can get him to somewhere between 28 and 32 starts in a year, that's going to be fantastic because that puts him somewhere in the 170 to 190 inning pitch range. 190 would be a lot for him, but for sure, like 180 feels attainable to me. Um, I'm high on Degrom, but again, it's just, can 37-year-old Jacob Degrom stay healthy through the whole year? I would like to imagine so, but that's always the question that is going to arise, right, with him. And the next guy is Nathan Eovaldi, right? Health was a problem last year. He threw 130 innings. Now, there were 130 of the best innings in baseball, but it was still only 130 innings, right? He had 129 strikeouts over that time. He had a 1.73 ERA. He is probably, if you extrapolate that to be like 180 innings, this is a Cy Young season that we saw out of Eovaldi. Unfortunately, he had that lingering injury and injuries, I guess, that just kept him out of starts. He only started 22 games. They were 22 incredible games. He wound up 11-3. A big reason why the Rangers were so good was Nathan Eovaldi. However, in a perfect world, you would like him to sit at like 160, 170 innings, same as what we would expect out of DeGrom. He's 36 years old, and as pitchers get older, injuries start to pop up more and more. I hope that last year is not going to become the normal for him. Um, and I know that he wants to be out there. That's kind of his personality, is he wants to take the ball every fifth day. But it is a concern to me, right? Coming off a year where you're only throwing 130 innings. 36 years old, you just don't recover as well as some of the younger guys, unfortunately. The third starter is Mackenzie Gore, who we traded for in the offseason from the Washington Nationals. He's 27 years old. The front half of his year was unbelievable. The back half of his year was awful. That's the way his season went last year. If you look at the splits pre All Star break, he had like a two like something ERA. The back end of the year, he had like a 6 ERA. So you balance that out, he wound up with like a 4.17 ERA. He did start 30 games though. He threw 160 innings. Um, he's a lefty starter. He will be the one lefty in our rotation, which is always good to have, I guess, to mix it up. Should you get to a playoff series, just kind of change up looks a little bit. Um, I don't know. I'm interested to see what he does this year. If we get good Mackenzie Gore, like early Mackenzie Gore through the whole season, it's going to be electric. If we get bad Mackenzie Gore through the season, it's going to be not great, right? This could be like he gets relegated to the pen for a while and we just figure it out. Um, I'm pretty confident that he's going to be fine. He did have a rough spring training, but it's spring training, so I don't put that much stock into it. He looked okay yesterday as I record this in the last spring game, or maybe 2 days ago. In the last spring game, he looked okay. Got out of a jam against Kansas City. Um, I don't know. I would love to imagine that he blossoms into being just a really, really good like number two starter for Texas long term. I am hoping that this year he takes a step towards that. That's kind of what I'm looking forward to with Gore. Right? Is can he be good slash serviceable the whole year instead of just half the year like he was last year? The Nationals ran him out because they didn't really have a lot of options. But I feel like the Rangers pitching is a little bit deeper than the Nationals was last year, and if he starts to run into those troubles, we'll call up somebody or we'll move Latz, who we'll talk about in a minute, back into a starting role. But I don't know. Mackenzie Gore, if it's the first half, Gore is going to be awesome. Second half, Gore, less awesome. The pedigree for him has always been there. He's a new guy for the Rangers, so I'll talk about. He was a first round pick in 2017 by the Padres. They drafted him number 3 overall. He moved to Washington, I believe, in the Juan Soto trade, um, and then now he's a Ranger. So maybe this is a spot that he sticks. I kind of hope that it is, but time will tell for sure. Time will tell. Jack Leiter is going to be our number 4 starter. I am really high on Jack Leiter. I think he's 25 years old at time of recording this. Um, he has kind of like a family that's been in baseball for a while. Obviously, Al Leiter is his dad. I mean, Mark Leiter, like his cousin is in the league. Multiple of his cousins are in the league. I think a nephew is maybe in the league. He's been around baseball for a while, and that matters to me a little bit, but not a ton. I think his stuff is electric, and I think that he has shown the ability this year, or at least in spring, that he's going to be able to get people out at a high level. I'm excited for Jack Leiter this year. I hope he takes another step forward. A successful year for me for Jack Leiter, to put a number on it, is like 30 starts. I think that that's a fair number that he can get to, should he stay healthy, obviously. I would love for him, his ERA, to live in like the 3.5 range. He was a 3.8 last year, so just like a tick lower. The strikeout number, he's about a strikeout an inning, give or take. I would love for him to maintain that. You would love for the whip to get a little bit lower than 1.2. A 1.1 whip would be awesome. Even a high 1.1 or a lower 1.2 would be an improvement to me. Um, I think he can get there. Like if he steps up, has 30 starts, has like a 3.4 ERA, that's dangerous as a number 4 starter, right? And I think that he's going to be able to do that. Um, he's just got to kind of prove it, right? I think when you're looking at this team this year, obviously DeGrom and Eovaldi have proved that they can do it. They're electric. They're the best pitchers on our team, clearly. But when you're watching this year, it's kind of Jack Leiter and Mackenzie Gore are like the next iteration of that. And that should get you excited, I think, as a Rangers fan, to watch those two guys because those are the guys that are probably the aces of the future, right? Or at least the 1-2 punch of the future. Let's talk about Kumar Rocker. He is the 5th starter, and this is one of the surprises to me out of camp. Um, I am not as high on Kumar Rocker as apparently the front office slash coaching staff is. I mean, last year he started 14 games. He was not incredible, right? He was rocking like a 5.7 ERA. The stuff, is always there. It's just like he walks a lot of guys. He kind of gets dinged around the park a little bit. To me, this would be my 6th starter. I would flip him and Latz, who we'll talk about again in a minute. We need Rocker to take another step forward, and I almost wonder if them putting him in the rotation to begin the year is them kind of accelerating that to see where it's at quicker than if he just camped out in the bullpen for a year. Because I like if he's rocking the same numbers as he was last year, and that, you know, 14 starts, 64 innings pitched, a 5.7 ERA, it's not awesome, right? It's not great. There's no stretch where that's amazing for us. Um, I have to think if he starts slow, he's going to be relegated to the bullpen, and then we're gonna have to figure out what to do with him. And Latz will come in and be that 5th starter. To me, I would have started him in the pen and had him as like the spot starter or 6th starter guy on a day where DeGrom needs an extra day's rest, or we have a bunch of games stacked up and you want to like give everybody an extra day, like the whole rotation an extra day. Rocker would have been my guy to use for that, but I don't know. I'm conflicted. I want Rocker to be good, right? Obviously, because it's what you do as a fan. You want all your guys to be good. I have a hard time believing that it's going to be incredible. But I would take even serviceable, right? I think a good goal for him as like a 5 starter, as a 5th starter on this team would be, 20 starts. I think would be a lot for Rocker if he could get to 115 innings pitched, both out of the rotation and in relief. However, we wind up using him. I think that's a really good season. If he could get to 100 strikeouts in those innings pitched, I think that's a win. He's got to lower his walk rate. That's the part that like actually concerns me. And he gets hit around quite a bit. His WHIP sits at like a 1.46. Um, if he could get that down to like a 1.3, you're feeling a lot better about it. But in current state, this is the weak link, I think, of the starting rotation. And I think that's not an unfair thing to say. Um, yeah, I think he's the weakest link of the rotation, at least of the 5 guys that they listed to be in their starting rotation to start the year. Now, we've talked about him a little bit, but let's get into Jacob Latz, right? Latz is a lefty. He started some last year. He was kind of a jack of all trades last year. He wound up pitching 85 innings for us. Was pretty good. He's 29 years old. He rocked a 2.84 ERA over all of his outings. He wound up with 8 starts, and he was good in those starts. His WHIP was down at like a 1.2, ERA sub 3. This is my pick to be the 5th starter, and I think that he winds up being that 5th starter down the road. I feel like for whatever reason they feel like they need to have Rocker work, and I think they see him more as a starter. Which, if he works, he would be a pretty electric starter. But I think Latz right now is the more capable pitcher. Um, I don't know. I mean, they're going to use Latz as like the spot starter, 6th guy. He has shown some ability to come in late in games and pitch in high leverage situations, although I feel like they think they have better pitching in the back end of the bullpen than Latz. So Latz is kind of like without a role, which isn't exactly true because I'm describing his role, but he's not really a high leverage guy. He's not really going to be like a middle relief guy, I don't think is the way that's going to work out. I really truly think that he's going to wind up being a starter, like a fifth starter for us, even though he hasn't really done that in his career. The flashes that he showed last year, though, I believe in more than Rocker. Um, yeah, I don't know. This would be my pick to be the fifth starter is Jacob Latz. Um, Certainly more than Rocker. Okay, let's go through. Let's talk about the pen now. The pen has a lot of questions, in my opinion, at least. It has some bright spots. It has some players that I'm excited to watch. But it definitely also has the most questions, in my opinion, on the team, right? There's more, I look at that and there's more like, it feels the least like for sure this is going to work out than the rest of the team, right? You can see the vision in the starting lineup. You can see roles in the bench. I can see the starting rotation, right? The bullpen to me is scary, and some of that is going to be PTSD from last year. Um, but I don't know. Like it is an interesting bullpen that the Rangers have assembled here. I think that feels like such a fair thing to say. It feels like they have gone through, like in MLB The Show, if you ever played a franchise and you're like, I got to fill out my bullpen, and you just go get a bunch of like bronze cards or bronze players. That's what they have done here, um, which doesn't inspire a lot of confidence, but it does make it interesting. It does leave some players that I'm excited to watch. So we're going to start with some of the righties, actually, and we're actually going to start with Carter Baumler. I think it's Baumler, but you guys let me know down in the comment section below. He is a Rule 5 pick for the Rangers, and he got the cool moment on Monday's game where Skip Schumacher went out to the mound, called the infield in, and told him he made the team, which was cool. That's a cool way to do it. He has shown flashes of being really good in spring training, which is why we're going to keep him. He's young, he's 24 years old. He has been electric in the minor leagues last year over, 3 teams. He had like a 2 ERA, right? Which is good. He has not pitched above double A, so it will be a little bit of a jump. But I think he's going to be fine. I would like to think that he's going to be fine. He keeps the ball in the yard well enough, it looks like. His walk numbers are good, at least in the minor leagues. He kind of strikes guys out at a pretty impressive clip. His opponent batting average against was like at a 180. Obviously, all of these are like minor league numbers, right? A lot of these are single A numbers and some of them are double A numbers, but the stuff is there, right? The stuff is going to play. How does he handle it? I don't know. He's a Rule 5 pick, so he's got to stay up the entire year, is the way that works, essentially. There's more to it than that, but this is not a Rule 5 draft pick video. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what he does. He seems like a nice guy. Seems like a good kid. Um, I'm excited to see what his role turns out to be because I think he's going to wind up probably as like the 7th inning guy to start. If I had to guess, looking at the rest of our bullpen, maybe a 6th inning guy. Obviously, all the pen guys are going to throw innings over the course of a year, but I think in a perfect world, he's probably the 6th inning guy to start on a day where Jack Leiter goes 5, or Eovaldi goes 5, or whoever goes 5 innings, right? Just as like a bridge guy to get it to the later inning people. At least at the start, I could for sure see a world where by the end of the year he's the closer or the 7th or 8th inning guy, right? The setup guy. So I'm interested. I'm interested to see what it is. Um, his minor league numbers again have been really good, so I'm excited to kind of watch that develop. He's one of actually on the entire team the players that I'm most interested to watch and see like what happens. The next guy we're going to talk about here is Jacob Junis. We get him from Cleveland, though he's had time in Kansas City and San Francisco, and also Milwaukee and the Reds for half a season each. He's been a good major league pitcher, right? He's not incredible, but he is going to be a guy that will be able to throw 60 innings out of the pen, which is good. He's a converted starter. So I guess if you really needed to, he could spot start, though it's been a while. He started his career actually as a spot starter, but he's been way more effective in the pen. And that's where Cleveland used him last year. Even with all the gambling stuff and losing Clase and Ortiz last year, he never got a save. He wound up just being the eighth inning guy, I think, at the end of the year. But still, like, a pretty good pitcher, right? He's got a 2.97 ERA. The whip is a 1.23. He strikes guys out at a semi-reasonable clip. He keeps the ball in the zone. He doesn't really walk people, which is encouraging. But he does allow some hits. He's about a hit an inning. So it's going to be fine. He's like a middle relief guy again. I would feel comfortable with him like later in the game as well. I just don't know that he's going to be the Rangers' first choice in that. But he'll be fine, right? It's going to be like a passable reliever that will be there the whole year. He, interestingly, is one of the people that I'm least concerned about because I feel like I know what I'm going to get out of him, which is good. You need guys like that on your team sometimes. Next guy we're going to talk about, Chris Martin, is back. He is 39, I believe, turns 40 at some point during this season. Same thing, right? The Rangers, last year, he was like a closer for a minute, it felt like, and then he wasn't, and then he kind of was, and then he got hurt, and then it never fully got back. I think if he stays healthy, it's going to be fine. To me, in a perfect world, Chris Martin is like the seventh inning guy, maybe the eighth inning guy. Like, he's going to be fine. He's going to have like a 3 ERA, and we're going to live with it because it's Chris Martin and he keeps the ball in the zone. He doesn't really walk people ever. So the only thing that he's really susceptible to is like just getting hits stringed against him. Um, but he's going to be fine, right? Again, this is a guy I'm not super concerned about at this moment in time. Um, I'm not, I won't say that I'm excited to watch him play, because again, I feel like I know what I'm going to get, but he's going to be a reliable late inning pitcher. That's not to say he won't have a blow up or two in the year, because I feel like every reliever is good for one of those a year. But he's going to be reliable for the most part. I'm not super worried about it. And let's move on. Because after Chris Martin, the last righty we have is actually one of the people that I'm most excited to watch, and that is Cole Winn. Cole Winn, to me, is the team's closer. That's how I would kind of do it. I think he had a 1.51 ERA in the games that he pitched in last year. I just believe in it, you know? I think the stuff is good. He misses bats, which is important. Um, it feels like he has like a personality type that would be good as a closer for what that's worth, and you can read into that however you want. Um, but no, I'm excited for it. I think the fastball plays well. The breaking stuff is good. He like last year he was dominant, right? Like a 1.51 ERA. He was really good. A sub 1 whip is good. Those are closer numbers, and I would like to see that happen again this year, but over a full season. Last year he only had 41 innings pitched in 33 appearances. This year, if he could bump that close to 60 innings pitched, I think that's a win because that puts him probably closer to like the 50, 55 strikeout range. If he still has like a sub 2 ERA, you're feeling pretty good about it, honestly, that being your closer. So that's kind of the role that I see for him. I believe that's the role the Rangers see for him as well. If he's not the ninth inning guy at the start of the year, he most certainly is like the eighth inning guy at the start of the year. So I don't know. He is one of the pieces in the pen that I am most excited to watch this year for sure, without question. That is all the righties, which leaves us just a couple of lefties. Tyler Alexander, we're going to start with. First of all, six stash. Going to throw that on the screen as I'm talking about this. Tyler Alexander is going to be like your innings eater guy, I guess. He's going to wind up being like a mop up man, I think is the role that he's going to be. He can spot start a little bit. He did have 5 starts last year for, it looks like, Milwaukee and then Chicago. Yeah, he's a lefty. That's his role. He's going to wind up being a mop up man for us. There's not a whole lot else to say. A good year for him. To put a number on it, I would love like a 4.5 ERA. Um, I would love 80 innings pitched, right? And in that, he'd get 80 strikeouts. The whip being like a 1.3, which is just his career average, I would take. We don't need spectacular things from Tyler Alexander, although we would take them, and I'm rooting for them. It like he's just kind of the mop-up man, at least at the start of the season. He's going to wind up being a situational lefty, I think. And I've just learned that his nickname is Todd the Painter. And I would love to know the origin story of that. But yeah, six stash, situational lefty. I imagine he'll find his way into, let's call it 50 games, 40 games, something like that. But yeah, that is what I have on Tyler Alexander. Jalen Beeks is another new addition to the Texas Rangers. He comes from Arizona. Um, Another lefty, been in the league for a while, had a 3.77 ERA last year, 57 innings pitched in 61 appearances, a 108 whip. And honestly, if he repeated that again this year, we would take it. That's kind of, if he can just do exactly what he did last year, but again this year, we're living with that. I think if you're a Rangers fan, like a one whip or a close to one whip, you're living with a 3.70 ERA. You're living with, this could sneaky be like a seventh or eighth inning guy situationally, depending on where you are in the lineup, how many lefties are coming up. Like this is a reliable arm, for sure. I think there's other pieces in the pen maybe that they will side with over Beeks, but I think this is like a late inning arm, or at least is going to wind up being like a seventh or eighth inning arm as the season progresses. And I would feel comfortable with that, honestly. I think that there are worse people that you could run out there for that. I'll cite like Tyler Alexander as an example. You would for sure want Beeks in a late close situation over Alexander, at least at the start of the season. Um, so yeah, he's an interesting one. I'm kind of excited to see what that turns into, what role he kind of takes. Because I think it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how this gets used. And I guess like an overarching conversation for this is seeing Schumacher's approach to a bullpen is going to be interesting because it's going to be a little different than Bochy, I have to think. Um, yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's a conversation for another video. But our last guy here is Robert Garcia. He had a 2.95 ERA last year, although it didn't really feel like it. He wound up with 9 saves, although he did blow 7, which is not incredible. The numbers for him are good, right? In a vacuum, you're taking a guy that has a 2.95 ERA and struck out 68 guys in 64 innings. He had a 1.25 whip. All of those are fine. It just felt like anytime he was in a save situation, it was 50-50 at best whether or not that was going to get converted. And the stats back that up, right? In 16 save opportunities, he had 9 saves. It wasn't great when the game was close, but I am hoping this year they're going to use him earlier in games. I think that he's a good pitcher. I don't think he's a good closer. I think I am way more happy with Garcia as like a seventh inning or a sixth inning guy than I am with Garcia, the eighth or ninth inning guy. That's just, fair or not. That's kind of the role that I see him taking on. Um, because it's not like he was incredible in Washington as in a closing situations either, right? In 2024, he was in Washington. He went 0 for 4 in save opportunities. Um, he has blown more saves in his career than he has converted saves in his career, and that's not an incredible thing that you want out of a closer. Um, so I'm hoping that he's not the closer again, right? I'm hoping Cole Winn winds up being the closer. I don't mind him earlier in games. I super mind him late in a game, right? I don't want that at all. Um, which sounds harsh, but that's kind of where I'm at. I think that's where the fan base is at also. I just we can't take another year of Robert Garcia as the closer, right? You can't do it. But like fine pitcher otherwise, I think again sixth or seventh inning, fifth inning, middle relief guy. I'm in all day. It just can't be a late inning guy because it feels like it's cost us more than it's helped us. Is the short way to say that. So I don't know. I guess let's go through some roles here. Let's build it backwards, right? Cole Winn to me is the closer. I don't know if he'll get used in that way, but like maybe, right? He to me is the closer that needs to happen. I think Chris Martin is going to get nods at closer, and we've tried to do closer by committee before, so maybe those two would be the closers, and maybe Beeks, right? In my mind, if I was building this, Cole Winn's the closer. Chris Martin and Beeks are like the seventh and eighth inning guys in a perfect world, right? Jacob Junis is in there maybe as a seventh inning option. Um, that's probably my late inning guys that I feel good about. And then the spot starters are Latz, and then after Latz would be Alexander. Alexander's probably the mop up guy. I would like to see Bomber get some reps, right? Get some game action. Probably starting in the sixth inning, maybe graduating to later after he gets his feet wet in actual major league action. Garcia, same way, but I think if it was up to me, he would pitch just in maybe the sixth inning, maybe the fifth inning, earlier in the game for sure for Garcia, and then the rest kind of fill out where needed. That's kind of how I would construct a bullpen. But I guess let me know how you guys would construct a bullpen down in the comment section below, because I've been talking for a while. Yeah, and opening day is today, I guess, as you guys are watching this. So I'm excited. We take on the Phillies, I think, which is lit. So yeah, like and subscribe if you guys are new. If you made it to the end, thank you for watching, and we'll catch y'all in the next one. Take it easy.